The adventure started in the underworld. My afterlife was relatively new then and was a simple squire and handmaid. I had been assigned to harvest the souls of animals and a few humans, but not given missions until that fateful day. During my rest near the river Styx after a short shift, I sighed, while wanting to rise higher above my rank, yet doubted that someone like me, a girl rogue, could ever be a knight amongst an all-male squadron of superior dead soldiers. I threw a rock across the river to release any angst and my frustration, then paused to hear a shouting of pain from the other side. My eyes widened for a moment and heard a voice say, "Oh, through that! Bloody hell, it hurt!" I recognized the voice to belong to an English pickpocket in life and a reaper in death known as Peter. He was a young man who died at 16 years of age who decided to become visible at the riverbank. My eyes narrowed and said flatly, "Oh, it's you. Come to harass me again?" "I know I was a jerk to you and we got off on the wrong foot, but," he said quickly, then paused for a moment while scratching his white hair nervously. "But what?" I asked firmly while crossing my arms. "I am sorry for calling you a Yankee. You fought in the war and I should have known better than to say that. You're a different type of bird I will not let fly away from me," he said with a little bravado. "I am no one's bird, boy, though I will accept your apology, despite it being an offbeat one," I said, then asked, "Why were you watching me in the first place?" He blushed while making a tent with his fingers, looking away for a moment and said, "No, I was not watching you." "You are an awful liar," I said while chuckling. The exchange of wits had been interrupted by a telepathic message from Hades, who spoke in a booming voice. "Maid Fitzgerald and Squire Potter, come to the throne room at once." "Well, you heard the man. We better get over there," I said casually while letting my wings emerge and fly to the obsidian castle in the heart of the underworld. Wait, Jeff said anxiously and interrupting the tale. "Your last name is Fitzgerald?" "Yes, and you will know the rest of my name soon," I replied patiently. "Let her go on," Jane shouted and elbowed Jeff in the ribs. "Fine, keep going," he muttered while rubbing his injured side. We arrived at the window of the throne room and landed before our king and queen, bowing respectfully. "You called for us, your majesty?" Peter asked. Hades stood from his throne, well dressed in his dark finery, and said, "Yes, and I have seen the progress from you both. I am impressed by your efficiency and devotion to the work. There is an urgent matter to address. We fear that an old enemy of the gods may rise. There is a word of an epidemic of corruption and debauchery by one of the offending groups, known as a cult. They call themselves the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. This cult wishes to resurrect Zalgo and bring about the apocalypse." I raised my hand hesitantly and asked, "May we ask who is the Zalgo person and why he is an enemy?" "Zalgo is a being of pure evil, a creature beyond what mere words can describe him. He is the blackness that has been purged from the gods so long ago. He needs corruption of all kinds from the living and the souls of the damned in order to rise from behind the great wall, the wall that separates the living from the dead. From both elements can he create the hive mind. So many voices that speak as one," Hades explained while rubbing his temples with one hand and receiving a gentle hug from his wife Persephone. She faced us and said, "We need you both to stop these people. You are not entirely good nor bad. A neutral force is needed to destroy Zalgo. You will be assisted by 2 other knights and be sent to a forest in England where the sacrifices took place. Should you succeed in this mission, you will both be knighted," Hades said with a pointed finger and authority. I could not believe what I heard. Me? A knight? It seemed too good to be true. Why choose me and not someone else? It was a question that I never had answered and will remain a mystery to this day. We were dismissed and sent to the exit portal near Styx. From there, we met our superiors, Victor and Wyatt. Wyatt was an American outlaw who robbed the Pony Express, yet fed his starving family. Victor was a German doctor who practiced illegal medical procedures yet murdered criminals who stepped into his office. Sie haben Kinder geschickt, um zu helfen. Was das Hades? Victor said with a complaint in his tone, and shaking his head in dismay. I later found out it translated to, "They sent children to help us? What was Hayes thinking?" I glared at him as I did not have to understand his language but his emotions alone. Whoa there, this little lady's got fire in her gut. So this is the maid we heard about, Wyatt said while leaning forward to be at my height. Who wants to know? I asked. I am Wyatt, and the German there is Victor. We're going to work together to take down this Zago feller. That is if your dainty senses cannot handle it, he said, and ended the introduction with a taunt. I am not dainty, sir, nor am I some damsel to look over, I said firmly. With a middle name like Darling, I beg to differ, Victor sneered. Just as I was about to retort, Peter stood in front of me and said, She is Hope, and don't you forget it. It was from the gesture that confirmed his true feelings towards me. I smiled a little and thought of a new name in order to gain respect from these pompous men. Call me Saturday. I am at the end of the week, just like is at the end of Zalgo, I said with confidence. Wyatt snickered, ruffled my white hair, and said, Fine, Saturday it is then, girly, just like you. I wanted to rip his arm off after degrading me in that way, yet biding my time to prove my worth to him. Now it was a test of wills, and had motivated me to earn my knighthood. Darling? Jeff asked, then began to laugh hysterically. Your middle name is Darling? Yes, I muttered. It's so cute! A little girl with brown curly hair and wearing pink pajamas said. Let her continue, Sally, Slender Man said while patting her head. I will get to the part where I met you for the first time and the investigation in London afterwards, I said. Make sure I come across as intimidating, please, he said somewhat firmly. Very well, I do not want to ruin your reputation, I said.